I extend a warm welcome to all the learned participants to this webinar session on how to write research papers in reputed journals. Friends, thankful to the Vice Chancellor of Rani Chennamma University, Belgavi, for giving me a wonderful opportunity to share some of my experiences. I thank Professor Halsagi, the coordinator of the seminar, who has believed that I can contribute something to his learned audience. Well, I am a freelancer now. Earlier worked with Kakatiya University. My name is Dr. Sarma. I am now into a number of giving lectures. Now, before I start my session, I would like to seek a permission from the audience to tell something about my personal experience in research so that you could better relate to my talk. This is not to tell something that I am great, but I just wanted to relate my talk with you and you relate my talk with me. So I share some of my personal experiences. Now, I always wonder how to write a quality research paper. Is it so important? Because when I have asked this question, is how is more important? Of course, both are equally important. But which is more important? I know many persons have told that how is very important. When I am telling how, I am focusing on the process by which I should do this. All the processes, all the ways of accomplishing something, they are not wrong. Because from the childhood we were told how to do, we were told how to eat, we were told how to go to school, we were told how to solve a problem. And I asked the question even to the students. They said how is more important. You ask a question to your students. They always say how is important. Give them a problem, either on accounting or anything, and ask them to solve. They say how to solve. I do not know it. But same accounting problem, if a recruiter gives, and he offers 5 lakhs salary per month, will they not do it? They will certainly do it. They will do all hard. They will put their heart and soul for doing that problem. They will make lots of trials as how I can solve this problem. Now let me drive you another funny example. You have ever traveled? Yes, we have traveled by train. And imagine that the train in which you are traveling, it has caught a fire. Now, will you ask how to jump? No. You will always have a strongest reason why to jump. That is your life. So friends, when you have a why, I should write a quality research paper, then automatically how we search. Let me share my personal example of recording this particular video. I know why to record a video and send it to you. So I have learned how. I have learned how. So many times I have recorded, so many times I have tested whether what I am trying to drive is being correctly driven or not. Therefore, my dear friends, I want you to focus on why to write a research paper. Now, you will ask me, why I am doing this particular session? My objective is to share some of the most important things. Though I am not sharing everything that is known in research, but I am trying to share some of the most important parts of what a reputed journal expects from a researcher, expects from a research paper writers, then how we can adapt a few of these things. Friends, let me first tell you the McGregor's theory Y. Theory Y. Now, McGregor says in his theory Y that the intellectual potential is widely distributed, not narrowly distributed. Let me give you a belief that you are eligible to write a quality research paper. First, understand that you are eligible. God makes no check. You have chosen to be a researcher by choice. If you have chosen to be a researcher by choice, you are eligible to write a research paper. Now, this belief is the starting point. As Napoleon Hill has rightly states, that belief is the starting point of accumulation of all riches in this world. If you want to be rich, you have to believe that you can become rich. If you want to write a qualitative research paper, you believe first that you are eligible. Many researchers, they start, am I eligible? Is the content which I am trying to write, is the way I am trying to write a research paper, is it acceptable or not? Never have a doubt. Now, this belief will really make you to go to the highest end of your. And for this, probably you have to start learning. Now, when you learn, what happens is learning is the beginning of everything. I have learned a lot as how this particular video can be made. If I have not learned, if I have not done it, probably I would have not done it. I would have stuck with so many issues. So you can always learn to write a quality research paper. And this particular video is for those who really wanted to bring out a quality in their research, a passion in their research, not just to publish a paper. Publishing paper is not a big issue. Even publishing a quality paper also is not a big issue from my point of view. But you must always think in terms of, am I have a passion? My dear friends, in fact, if you are willing to learn, no one can stop you. If you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. So, please try to learn something from every speaker, and you can also learn from this particular session. Now, learning is not enough. Learning is knowing. See, there are so many things we know, but unless we do them, we will not be able to get a kind of experience of them. As you are seeing, knowing and doing are two different things. You learn everything and you know, but unless you do them, you will not be able to accomplish the slated goals. Now, if you were to do, you have to do. You have to do, not knowing. Knowing is equal to not knowing. Now, my dear friends, the things which I am trying to share for the next 30-40 minutes is not those things which you do not know. All your rubber supervisors, they must have been telling you that you do this, but we don't do. We don't do because we have our own reasons. Everyone will have their own strong reasons why they do something and why they do not do something. That's why always I advise, please attach a pain or pleasure for doing anything. If you have a pleasure doing it, you will better accomplish writing a research paper. If you think that it's a pain, our supervisor has given me an order to write a research paper in the next 3 months. You are doing it for your supervisor. It's a painful. But if you think, if you believe, if you just set a target that yes, I will write a research paper in the next 3 months, which will be published in some graded journals, reputed journals, which have got a score, impact factor, premium journals, you will certainly do it because it's a pleasure looking at your article in a journal. Now, I would go to the content of what I am trying to share. See, there are no hard and fast rules as what should be the content of a research paper. There may be some differences, but there are commonly established processes, there are commonly established sequences, there are commonly established, well understood, well known, well accepted stages of presenting a research report or a research paper. They are: you start with an introduction of your research paper and you go with all other steps. You first basically do a review of literature, then you set your objectives, you formulate a hypothesis, and you mention certain methodologies. Methodologies include writing your sample frame and what methods of sample you have used and what is the size of the sample based on which you are trying to draw conclusions, inferences through your research article, research paper, or what are the sources of data, because the sources of data, the credibility of the source of data decides the quality of your research paper. And the tools you use for analysis, and if you are using secondary data, what time frame, why you have chosen a particular time frame of analyzing, of collecting the data and analyzing. Time frame is not the number of days that you have taken for collecting the data. If you are using data relating to sales, you tell that I am taking this 10 years data because this 10 years is considered to be a reference period, a stable period for collecting for analyzing the sales. And then you use all analytical techniques and you make an interpretation. And lastly, you try to make conclusions and suggestions. And at the end of it, you certainly give references. This is a standard, well accepted format of a research paper. Here and there, you find some exceptions. They may not sometimes give you this particular kind of a sequence. They may start with writing the introduction without stating that it is an introduction. And some of these headings are only guiding factors for us to produce a research paper, because any research paper, for that matter, any thesis or any paper is only a communication to others. The more simple our communication, the more it is easily understood by the others. The more you make it complicated, the less it is understood. So, you can usually make this particular format in writing all quality research papers. Now my point is to drive you about not everything, because some of these things were covered by earlier speakers. And my intention is not to tell everything in this particular session. I will only focus on certain important things which actually the journal looks for. As an educator of a journal, I always look for certain few things which are very, very important, which determine the quality of research paper. So I would focus only on those things which are very important from the point of the judgment of a research paper to be published in a quality journal. Let me first talk about the review of literature. I'm not going to talk about how you introduce a topic. You know how to introduce a topic with all those supports of references. But before you start any research paper or your research journey, once you have a thought, you have flagged the idea, you know that there is a problem, I should write something on this. Now, what happens is that this particular idea comes from anywhere. There are so many sources through which you get research ideas. For instance, today we have a critical situation of COVID. You can always think of what will be the business prospects after COVID. This is an idea which may prompt you to write a research paper. Or you are in a human resource management field. You can write what should be the change in the HR function because of this particular problem. And you are in a finance field. You can always look at what will be the budgetary supports, what will be the fiscal supports, what will be the initial supports that may make any business stronger, and how they can make financially viable for their business. All these things they become ideas, and when this idea comes to your mind, you can always think in terms of past studies which have focused. There are so many people who may be having a kind of a similar thinking. They may not have the same kind of a thinking what you have, but they have certain similar thinking, like what you were thinking. So, what is most important is the more you focus on, the more you search for those who have thought probably in a similar lines, the more credibility you will bring to your research paper. Because you just is not telling in the research paper that this is my own idea for the first time it has come to me and no one has taught. Probably it may not be accepted. You know the very famous researchers. It is not actually researchers, the inventors. When somebody has invented that Earth is not round, Earth is not flat, it is round, people have not accepted. How do we accept? Because there are so many physicists, so many inventors, so many innovators, so many papers, so many researchers have mentioned that Earth is round with some examples. Even in research paper also similar thing happens. If you tell that this is my research, this is my idea, people may be reluctant to accept. But if you tell that this particular idea is, though it is novel, similar kind of ideas have already been there in the literature, they will accept and credibility increases. So how you can make your review of literature more relevant to yourself, your research, your paper? First you talk about a general review of research. Well, I am talking about how to become a good leader in an enterprise. Probably I would search some of the general articles as what are the qualities of the leader, what are the qualities of a business leaders, and what are the strategies, what are the decisions, so on and so forth. This is a general review of research which I do. If I am aiming at how to improve sales of the product, maybe I would make a general review of research on the characteristics of the market, and then how promotion is made, what are the strategies, all these things. After a general review, you will fairly get an idea exactly what should be taken and what should be avoided. Then you come to a specific review to our own frame of reference. What is the frame of reference of your research? By general review, you will try to have your own frame of reference. Let me caution you here, in a research paper, you need not have a very bigger frame of reference. Probably in a thesis writing, in a PhD course, you probably have a bigger, say, reference, frame of reference, because you have to do a lots of work there. But in a research paper, this need not be. You can have a focused frame of reference, and now bring in those reviews which focuses on that. For example, you are trying to focus on how sales of a particular product can be increased. Now, having understood the general review, having understood certain frame of reference, what are the best strategies, probably you can bring in some specific review like what should be the pricing strategy for such kind of products. If they are consumer durables, what is the pricing strategy? What is the promotion strategy? What is the product development strategy? And what is the distribution strategy? Something of such nature. So, when your frame of reference is smaller and you bring in only those specific reviews of your frame of reference, you will certainly make a kind of a quality, a kind of a belief that your research paper is objectives are well formulated. Research paper is fit into the qualities. Now, once you do this, you just don't end with the reviews. You make certain broad conclusions from the review. Well, what is being studied in by other researchers, or what is being there in other research papers? What is the frame of their reference? What are their objectives? And what is the sample that they have taken? And what is the methodology that they have adopted? And such kind of a broad conclusions from the review that has been made would give you for reducing your research gap. Now, if they have done that, and you are doing now a particular thing, becomes a gap. For example, the papers which you have reviewed, they have more focused on product development related to urban areas. Maybe your focus is on what product suits to a rural area. So you can always reduce a research gap saying that earlier researchers have concentrated more on a product development for urban areas, and present research will concentrate more on product development in case of rural areas, the rural needs. So this is how you can always reduce a research gap from the review of literature. And many times researchers have asked, how many reviews should I make? There are no hard and fast rules. How many reviews should I make? How many years of review I should take? Even there are no hard and fast rules. But to be in the present, to make a sense to the reader that you review those research which is recently been published, either in the journals or in the form of research reports, or in the form of monographs, or in the form of PhD thesis, so on and so forth. Now, having done that, another question that usually the researchers ask is how I should make a research review written in a quality research paper. Now, how to present? For example, if I am making a presentation of a research review of my own thesis, now what I do is I have done my research with certain objectives, and all the objectives with which I have done my research are not relevant to you. So my research is on leadership in public enterprises, and I have tried to understand many things. You are trying to understand what could be a better style of a leader in case of a certain specific situation of an industry. Your industry, the frame of reference which you are taking may not be public sector, maybe a private sector. So, whatever research objectives I had are not relevant. The relevant research objective, perhaps from my study, to take is how to explore the leadership style and its effectiveness. Then, what is the sample that I have taken and what is the unique methodology I have followed may be relevant for you. Because when you are trying to say in your research paper, that you are following certain methodology. The methodology which I have followed and methodology which you are following, the methodology which I have followed when you state in the review of literature, you will bring credibility of methodology which you are following. And similarly, the sample which I have taken could be totally different from the sample which you have taken. So while writing that review of literature in the form of a paragraph, you also mentioned what is the sample that was taken in those studies and what was the unique methodology that has been followed. Probably you need not mention all the general things. Suppose I have used the percentages. You need not mention that percentages have been used. But I have used ANOVA. I have used some other kind of technique. Say, I have used a multiple regression model in my research. You can say, this research has used multiple regression model. This research has used ANOVA model. And that will bring a kind of a credibility if you are using a factor analysis. Similarly, at the end of the review of each review, you bring out what are the significant conclusions the other researchers have brought, or what are the suggestions that they have made with their frame of reference. And these conclusions and suggestions which they have made probably will also bring a credibility to your conclusions and suggestions which you make. When you are trying to say through your research that during this research or at the end of the research, I have found that this particular conclusion will work, this suggestion will work. People misunderstand that you are trying to tell something of your own ideas. But if you tell, it is not alone my idea, some similar suggestions were also made by the earlier researchers, that makes a lot of credibility to your research. So, you can choose to present the review of literature in a small paragraph by including some of these elements, because your review is the heart of your research. Why I say heart of research is, your review alone will give you a gap and thus make you to understand what is the need for research and how your objectives are framed. Your objectives are not framed just like that. Objectives cannot be made from an intuitive ideas. Objectives have to be made, or hypotheses have to be made from some kind of a past experience, a past reviews. So this review of literature in a standard or quality research or quality paper publication or quality research paper is very, very important. Please focus on a review of literature. Then I would skip certain things because see, I cannot make every one of you to understand how to make a review of literature, because already some speakers have already narrated as how you can make the best review of literature. Now, the frequent question I get from the researchers is, how many objectives should be there? Well, again, there are no hard and fast rules. How many objectives shall be there? But when you are writing a research paper, the number of objectives you have, and when you are doing a PhD thesis, the objectives you have, when you are doing a monograph, when you are doing your MPhil thesis, when you are doing a report, the number of objectives you have are altogether different. When you are producing your PhD thesis, when you are writing your PhD thesis, when you are doing a research for PhD, certainly you will have maybe 5 to 6, 7, 8 objectives, 9 objectives, something like that, depending upon the topic that you have chosen for research. But research papers are not that elaborate. You always have to think in terms of a focused approach for writing a research paper. Your research objectives need not be many in a research paper, but objectives are must, because objectives alone will fill the gap where you are reaching. They are something like a lighthouse or a ship which is in the mid seas. If you do not have objectives, you will be losing your rudder. Therefore, how to write this research objective is also very, very important. I would like to tell you that when you write a research objective, according to some of the studies which I have gone through, they say, I wanted to review research on this particular subject matter. That cannot be a research objective, because review is a must for writing an objective. Similarly, please do not mention in your research objective that I wanted to present this particular theory. No, that anyhow will not become, because when you are trying to present your research through a research article, or when you are trying to publish a research article, you have to bring in some of the important theoretical concepts, theoretical constructs into the paper, based on which you have really constructed your own problem. Therefore, some of these things you need not mention that I wanted to draw some kind of a theory, I wanted to examine the theory. No. Then, drawing conclusions is never a research object. I have seen in some of the papers or some of the researchers that I wanted to draw a conclusion. Conclusions and suggestions are must. When you have presented your research findings, for the purpose of brevity, for the purpose of clarity, for the purpose of understanding by the others, you have to bring in conclusions. Because when you are reviewing a research, you just don't go and read entire paper. You first go to probably the conclusion and suggestions. And if those conclusions and suggestions, which are presented in a brief manner, are relevant for your frame of reference, probably then you try to select the paper for reading. Similarly, when you write certain conclusions and certain suggestions, when other persons reviews your paper, they will go to those broad conclusions and suggestions. Then they will choose whether this particular paper can be further studied or not, or further understood or not, further read or not. So therefore, drawing conclusions is never an objective. It is automatic. It is obvious. Similarly, in writing the objectives, please do not use sample names. For instance, you will write that I wanted to examine the trends in the sales of HCL company. HCL company is a sample. You are trying to analyze some sales trends. So don't bring those sample. Your objective is to analyze the sales trends, particularly with reference to a particular company. The company becomes a sample. So don't bring in. I wanted to examine what are the motivational strategies used in Infosys. Infosys is a sample which you take. The employees of Infosys you take as a sample for understanding what are the motivational strategies. Therefore, please do not bring in those sample names while writing the objectives. Usually, for an objective is stated like this. You say to examine, to understand, to analyze, to investigate. These are probably the best words to start. And you try to make a reference of concepts which you are trying to examine, constructs or factors I want to examine various factors that influence the standard of living of rural poor. That could be an objective. And suppose if you state that I'm examining, or the purpose of research is to examine various factors that influence the rural consumers to buy consumer durables in Belgavi area. So Belgavi area is a sample. You need not mention that. You can always write to understand, to analyze various factors that influence the consumers, rural consumers, consumers in rural areas while making the purchase decisions. Or you can say the factors that influence job satisfaction of workers working in industrial settings, job satisfaction of employees working in a bank, working in an insurance company, something like this. So you make only concepts, constructs and factors that you wanted to examine, you wanted to understand, you wanted to analyze in your objectives. Please do not mention all those other things which are not necessary in a qualitative research paper. Now, let me talk something about how you make data interpretations and presentations. I'm not trying to understand, I'm not trying to focus on the review of literature and the hypothesis and all that, because other speakers must have focused especially on how to make a hypothesis, all those things. I would like to make a specific mention about the presentation of your data in a standard way in the paper. Now I understand that in a quality research paper, you have to make effort to present your analysis in the form of tables. How many tables and how to draw a table? It should be a single variate table or multivariate table. Probably all these things have to be decided based on your own research work, your own presentations. Maybe if you think that this particular table can be a multivariate table where you are making a presentation of two factors. One, on one side, factors of job satisfaction, and on the other side, factors of effectiveness. So you can make both, and you can make a bivariate table. In a standard quality research, particularly in a reputed journal, they don't expect you to draw bar charts, pie charts, or graphs, unless it is very a specific issue where you need to make a graph and show those minute differences in the data. Because your research findings submitted through a research paper are not meant for illiterates. They are only read, they are only taken by those who are doing the research on the similar topic. So, well educated only will read your research paper. Therefore, please do not use charts or graphs unnecessarily if you are trying to publish a research paper in a standard journal, in impact factor journal. I know if I say like that, you would have seen so many research journals in which there are charts, there are bar charts, there are pie charts, and there are some graphs that are presented. Well, there are, don't misunderstand me when I say there are only journals. I'm talking about a reputed impact factor journal. Even some impact factor journals also, you may find some of these things. But I believe strongly that these things are not necessary for researchers. If your research article is being referred by a researcher, he will not be given some charts for understanding. He can as well understand the data and your interpretations. Therefore, please do not resort to charts, graphs, and well, if your research is something related to presentation of some pictures, well, I am trying to understand through my research what is the standard of living of people in rural areas, and thus relate this standard of living to some of the product development strategies suitable for rural areas. Maybe I wanted to make a presentation of pictures, one or two pictures. What is the standard of living in this particular village in which you have surveyed, or maybe some rural areas in which you have surveyed, so that the other person will understand for this particular standard of living, these products are suitable. So, in very rare cases, probably you make a presentation. And particularly studies in sociology and studies which are more related to kind of functioning of self-help groups, functioning of cooperative societies, then living status of rural area, rural food, all these sociology related articles make a presentation of some pictures for a better understanding. But as far as my knowledge goes, if you are looking at commerce or management research, probably you need not use charts, graphs, pictures, so on and so forth, unless it is very, very specific. Now, another very important aspect of data interpretation which I want to focus is interpretations. If you do not misunderstand me when I say that many of the researchers, they just mention in the interpretation about the quantitative figures that are shown in the tables. For instance, they say the coefficient of correlation is 0.6, and they would say that the chi-square value is 64.23. They will say that the Cronbach alpha is 0.6. So these interpretations of quantitative figures which were already shown in the table doesn't make any sense. So any interpretation that you are making, you must always substantiate with some valid reason, and with your own understanding of the frame of reference. Because as I told, every researcher is a mind. We do not know what creativity is possessed by an individual when he is trying to attempt to do some research. I am absolutely sold out to the concept that every researcher is a creative being. Every researcher has got some both invention capacity and innovation capacity. If that is not the case, we would have listened to only what Einstein has said. So I do not know, when I am trying to attempt to a researcher, when I am guiding a researcher, what is more important is I would like to bring in the intellectual ideas from the researcher than trying to force my ideas about the topic through the research. So you must believe that when you are trying to do a research and do interpretations, your own understanding of the frame of reference to the creative and innovative abilities that you possess are important. When you are trying to present your research paper, through the analysis that you have done, through the data that you have collected, through various techniques that you have used in the process of collection of data, you formulate certain great ideas, you formulate certain creative ideas. Perhaps those ideas are very, very important for further research. And those ideas may be half-baked sometimes. Those ideas for you, they may not look like a very great idea. But certainly for those who want to pursue research based on your own research, taken as a reference, that may be a great idea. See, when the Copernicus probably has told, the famous researcher Copernicus has told that Earth is round, not flat, nobody believed. When Abraham Maslow said people initially focus on the basic needs, perhaps some of then the contemporary researchers, contemporary industries, contemporary people, they have not believed. Similarly, when Hilton Mayo has come out with a different finding that it is not the physical facilities or physical settings that determine the productivity, it is the mental setting or psychological settings that determine the productivity. People have not believed. So, whatever ideas that you give, whatever creative solutions that you give, whatever innovative solutions you give, may not look big for you because you are trying to understand from your frame of reference, but those ideas are good to be stated in the data interpretation. And another very important aspect for making your research interpretations more credible and more qualitative is always use the references of formal research studies. If I am trying to say that job satisfaction is determined by pay, the primary factor is pay, then I just wouldn't leave it like that. I would say some other person also has made an investigation in this regard, and he also found a great association between pay and satisfaction. The association which I have found, the correlation which I have calculated between pay and satisfaction is something like 0.8 in my sample. But I would always say, other person, say Sarma in his research also has found this. That brings credibility. Maybe the association which I has found may be lesser than or higher than what I have found in my sample. But when you say some association is found and the primary factor in your factor analysis is the pay that decides the satisfaction among the sample, you always give a credibility to your interpretations. So therefore, more focus on giving some research references which have told something similar kind of findings, not exactly the same finding as you found, but kind of a similarity that is appearing in that research. Well, I would more focus on the interpretation based on a phenomena called why. When you are making a data interpretation, I always suggest that you may have to collect some additional evidences why this particular phenomena is behaving like this. When I understand that there is a rise in sales with a rise in GDP, there is a positive relationship, there is a positive association. I should further understand why this kind of a rise in GDP is giving rise in sales. I have found in my research that the rise in personal disposable income has given a rise in purchasing of high-class consumer durables. Now, probably I have to explain why. My research is on human resources, a participative kind of a team building kind of leadership has given more productivity of people. I should why? What are the other factors that have influenced? It is not alone participative or team building. What are the specific reasons which have given rise to that kind of output? If I do not focus on what is the output and why this output, why phenomena is behaving like this, probably I don't make any sense in interpretations. So you have to collect lots of additional evidences as to why this particular phenomena is appearing like this, is behaving like this. So focus on that. Focus on how this can be made. Now, with these few things, perhaps I think you can always do a better. And at the end of it, suitable suggestions have to be made, suitable solutions have to be given. Now, when you are making a solution, when you are giving some idea as a suggestion for improving, please do not give suggestion to only regarding that sample. Think how you can generalize. And before I explain this suggestion, let me also tell one more thing in the interpretations. I found that in many researchers, when they accept a hypothesis or when they reject a hypothesis, they always say the hypothesis accepted, null hypothesis accepted, or the t-test has accepted the hypothesis, or the chi-square test has rejected the hypothesis. Now, when you have accepted the hypothesis, or when you have rejected the hypothesis, as the case may be, now why you have accepted the hypothesis? Well, you have accepted the hypothesis because your test results have driven you to accept the hypothesis. What does that mean? Your hypothesis, there is no significant relationship between the leadership style and productivity. But your hypothesis has been rejected, which says that there is a significant relationship. When you say there is a significant relationship between leadership style and the productivity, now probably here we may have to substantiate with some reasons what kind of leadership style that increases the productivity. In your sample, what kind of leadership style has increased the productivity? And what kind of leadership style of the supervisor or the head of the department has caused a detrimental in the productivity? So if you do not explain other reasons, substantiate with valid reasons, with some kind of evidences, some kind of the other researchers, probably your interpretation doesn't make any sense. Some researchers have asked, sir, when I am interpreting the data, if I am bringing the other references, what does that mean? Nothing is my original. I am not telling that your entire interpretation should be filled with the data that is being copied. I mean, the interpretation that is being copied from further research, from other researchers. You must always have your own reason, your own substantiation, your own understanding of frame of reference, and giving a reference of earlier researchers regarding these frames of references, these kinds of suggestions you make, these kind of reasons that you have established as valid, will always bring in quality, will always make a credibility for your findings and your understanding of the frame of reference. Therefore, never forget that. And it is not just copying pasting. You may only mention a relevant aspect related to related to your own data, your own interpretation from a past research. Say, let me make it clear by an example. In my research, I have found that wherever there was a democratic leadership style adopted by the supervisor, there has been a little rise in the productivity, and people in my sample have expressed lots of satisfaction working with the leader. This is a general finding. This I have also found in my research, probably a redundant finding. But I have to tell this by taking other references. So-and-so has already found that there is an impact. And now, perhaps in my research, what I have to wonder, what kind of democratic leadership? Democratic leadership style is not one factor. I have taken about 15 factors to determine what kind of leadership style a person is practicing. So when I do a kind of a factor analysis, I found that there are 2 or 3 important factors of this particular style which have given this particular impact on productivity and satisfaction. So I would mention those things. Probably some other researcher has found totally different factors. I will only make a mention of that. I found that there is the factor of freedom, the factor of giving more information, the factor of giving more flexibility in the work has resulted in more satisfaction and more productivity. But the point of reference which I am bringing from other researchers, they may found that decision making may have been given, or motivation has been given, or sometimes the lucidity of the directions that were given of increased productivity and satisfaction. So I would bring my own interpretations with my own sample which I have taken. But to substantiate, I would always make the references of past researchers. Well, now I move on to suggestions and solutions. And suggestions and solutions which you give through your research is always very, very important, because your research has meant to give some suggestions, suitable solutions for the problem and study. If you look at the reputed journals, the conclusions and suggestions part of the journal, the research article, you always find that there will be some vibrant suggestions, vibrant solutions. Now, often the question that is asked by many researchers in this regard is how I should give my suggestions. Again, focus is on how. Now, my point is, always you have got lots of data, you have got lots of understanding of the frame of reference that you have made. Then, your own ideas from the frame of reference, your own creative ideas, they become the solutions. Once again, I caution that, or I remind you that you need not bother that this particular idea may be primitive idea. It is not sounding high. Your ideas, your solutions, your suggestions need not sound high, but they should have a logic, they should have a meaning. For instance, if somebody said in their conclusions, I suggest that the sales strategy of the company has to be revamped. Is this a suggestion? Well, for him it may be a suitable suggestion. But does it have any focus? So it doesn't have a focus. So don't just draw conclusions and suggestions or give solutions by doing a very generic way. Be specific. Because your research is a focused research you understand what particular factor of sales strategy is defective and that has to improve. Now, if somebody says that the company has to revamp its wage structure, a wage has so many components. It has a basic wage, it has a allowances, it has perquisites, it has some kind of the additional benefits, then bonuses. So just don't say wage has to be restructured. There's nothing like a wage restriction. There is a restructuring of a basic wage, there is a restructuring of a bonus, something like this. Similarly, if someone is looking at making a suggestion that the presentation of financial statements should adhere to the international standards. Well, this is a suggestion, but this is not a focused suggestion. Maybe you can make a focus of the suggestion by telling that the depreciation methods or the valuation of assets methods have to be presented using certain international standards, that is international accounting standards. That makes a suggestion, that makes a focused suggestion. So always bring in focused suggestions, focused solutions, ideas, though they may be innovative, they may be different from other researchers, they have not given, nobody has thought that particular suggestion. Certainly that gives a very credibility for your data interpretations. Well, friends, with these few inputs, I think that these things are known to you, but perhaps they are only a revamping of what you have already known, retelling of what you have already known, but practice it. Put them into practice in your quality research writing. Certainly, you will be able to achieve a very good, publish a very good research paper in quality journals if you adopt some of these guidelines. I thank once again the coordinator of the seminar, Professor Halsagi, Vice Chancellor, and all others for giving me a wonderful opportunity. But at last, I am really happy to share some of these things with all of you, those who are listening to this particular seminar with lots of interest, with lots of learning enthusiasm, with lots of passion that I should publish a quality research in journals. I congratulate all of you. I bless all of you that you have to publish quality research in reputed journals so that it will not only bring personal satisfaction to you that I have done something as a researcher, but it will also bring a credibility to your institution, credibility to nation sometimes. You do not know that what kind of idea that you are trying to promote through a research is workable. So please be open. Please believe that you also can give some good suggestions for further improvement of the processes, further improvement of various things that are researched, and do it. You can always contact me for any counseling on further research, for research ideas, how to frame objectives, how to do, how to make a hypothesis, and how to make an interpretations, and how to bring in conclusions. For all these things, you can always reach me either on my mobile or on my mail. I thank everyone for being very patient and being very good listeners. Thank you so much. Once again, I thank each one of you for being a good listener. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries on the dais and all the participants from various states of our nation. I, Dr. B S Navi, Professor of Commerce, Rani Chennamma University, Belagavi, Karnataka. At the outset, I welcome you all for the valedictory session of 7 days National Faculty Development Program on Research Methodology. It's my privilege to welcome chief guest of today's valedictory session, Professor S. M. Hurkadli, Registrar Evaluation of our university. I welcome you, sir. I also welcome the Finance Officer of our university, Professor D. N. Patil, sir, for this valedictory session. Sir, I welcome you, sir. I also take this opportunity to welcome our Chairman, Department of Commerce and Course Director for the 7 days National Faculty Development Program on Research Methodology, Professor S. O. Halasigi, sir, for taking initiation and making all the arrangements of faculty development program. I welcome you, sir. I feel happy to welcome my colleagues and coordinators of this faculty development program, Mr. Sachindra, Mrs. Ashwini and Mrs. Yasmin, for assisting throughout the 7 days faculty development program. I welcome you all. I also feel happy to welcome co-coordinators of this faculty development program, Mr. Manjunatha, Mr. Mallikarjuna and Dr. Mundargi, for this valedictory session. I welcome one and all for the faculty development program. Now I request chief guest of today's valedictory session, Professor S. M. Hurkadli, sir, for valedictory address.
Ellargu namaskara. In the beginning, I would like to thank the organizer who has given me an opportunity to talk a little about the faculty improvement program. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor M. Ramchandra Gowda sir, Registrar of our university, Professor Basuraj Padmasali, the Finance Officer, Professor D. N. Patil, Professor and Chairman, Department of Commerce and Course Director of the said program, Professor S. O. Halasigi, and all faculty members of the Commerce Department and organizing committee members and all colleagues and resource persons who have participated in this 7-day program. I feel very happy to note that one way it is very dangerous. COVID is a dangerous thing, but faculty program is organized in this era, in this time, and I once again congratulate the Commerce Department who have taken initiation and to give more knowledge towards the faculty members. The program organized for 7 days, not less than 7 state resource persons and participants have participated in this program, and I am very happy to congratulate all participants. On the theme, the Faculty Development Program and Research Methodology in Commerce. It is also learned that there were not less than 800 participants who have actively participated in this said program, and I also thank the resource persons who have taken pain to prepare the lecture and given to the younger generation, which will helpful for the development of their knowledge. I congratulate the PG Department of Commerce and all faculty members who have organized this 7 days program at Rani Chennamma University, Belagavi, which is very fruitful and very useful for the young teachers, which has contributed value addition for the academic activities of our university. I am very happy to thank the organizer and particularly Professor S. O. Halasigi, who has given me an opportunity to talk about the valedictory address. Once again, thank to all organizers and organizing committee, and I wish, at the last, I wish all the best for the research career. Thank you once and all.
Sir, thank you so much for your valuable words. your thought-provoking words have energized us to engage the faculties of commerce in these kind of activities. Definitely, we are going to take up some other assignments in the same way to provide valuable knowledge to the Department of Commerce. Thank you so much, sir. I request the course director of this faculty development program, Professor S.O. Halasgi sir, to give his concluding remarks. Sir, please.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Respected Professor S.M. Hurkadli sir, Registrar Evaluation of Rani Chennamma University, Belagavi, and Professor D.N. Patil sir, Finance Officer of Rani Chennamma University, Belagavi, Professor B.S. Navi, the faculty member of PhD Department of Commerce, senior advisors, then our conveners to this faculty development program, Sri Sachindra, Professor Yasmin Nadaf, and Srimati Ashwini Jamoni, and all other faculty members of PG Department of Commerce. I feel very happy to express the overwhelming response of the research participants spread all over 17 states of this country. It is all due to the fact that the activities undertaken by the department in a way to support research activities, more specifically those who are interested in the field of research. It is all again possible only because the contribution of academicians who have continuously involved in the field of research, that academic contributions have taken their experience of the 35 experience by sharing through their videos. This has positively fetched this much of response to our faculty development program also. I express my sincere thanks to all the resource persons who have really enriched the program by their academic contribution. I am here to express one simple note to all the participants. My dear participants, we are really grateful to you because you have enrolled and taken continuous efforts by referring the videos, listening to them, attending the assignments and all other things. So your academic interest is really highly appreciable. Now we have almost come to the flag end of the session because this is the 7th day we are talking, and today also you are going to listen to important lectures by Professor Sharma. It is on how to write articles in the research journals. Second is again very important area, what would be the future research activities in commerce, which will be delivered by Professor M.R. Sholapur. So at this end session, I wish to make one simple note to all the participants here. My dear participants, all the participants will be issued e-certificates on 5th June, those who have successfully completed all the assignments on time. For any other communication, you are requested to please send your mail to our regular mail which you are referring so far 7 days. So at the outset, I feel very honored to express my sincere thanks on behalf of all the organizing committee to our Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor M. Ramchandra Gowda, who has encouraged and supported to organize this maiden activity. It is also the encouragement and positive support of Registrar Professor Basuraj Padmashali, which has allowed us to go for this venture. We are also grateful to today's chief guest Professor S.M. Hurkadli sir, the Registrar Evaluation, who has addressed, valedictory address to all the participants. We are also with us Professor D.N. Patil sir, who is really kind enough to be the guest of honor for the today's function on the valedictory address note. It is also a nice time to remember all those who have taken troubles in organizing this activity. We are with us the senior advisors of the Faculty of Commerce, Professor H.Y. Kamble, Professor S.B. Akash, Professor B.S. Navi, as advisors for all the 7 days for this faculty development program. And I don't forget the young and energetic department colleagues who have really ventured these activities in a most calculated way and nice way. One is Sri Sachindra, Srimati Ashwini Jamoni, and Yasmin Nadaf, convener this activity. They are supported by co-coordinators Mallikarjun Mardi, Dr. Mukund Nundragi, so Mr. Manjunath, really with all these kind support. So how can I forget the technical assistance given by our technicians? One is Mr. Rachaya, Mr. Santosh Rajput, Reshma Dange, Mr. Irappa. So with all these team effort, we have really come to an end to this program, this only an end for this program, but it could be a new beginning for new other activities. So we expect in future the positive support by all the participants. Definitely your participation has really boosted our energy to continue such activities. At the last but not the least, I salute my pranams all the research scholars and all the academicians who have really enriched this program in a wonderful manner. So thank you one and all. We shall see you again and again. Thank you.